Hey everyone, this is Sportsman Pariente. And after the longest NFL season ever, which featured miracle finishes, a playoff weekend like no other, and all the drama that you could possibly imagine from retirements to walk-off field goals to Grim Reapers, we are now down to the final two. Two teams, one game for the Lombardi Trophy. On one side, representing the NFC, you have the Los Angeles Rams, and on the AFC side, you have the Cincinnati Bengals. The Rams, of course, who went all in, trading Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford, going all in to acquire Von Miller and Jalen Ramsey. And on the other side, you have arguably one of the great surprises in recent NFL memory. The Cincinnati Bengals a year ago won only 4 games. And yet here they are with the chance to cap one of maybe the greatest turnarounds in NFL history. And of course, the Bengals have their all-world player in Joe Burrow, who has been absolutely phenomenal. There's no other way to describe it. What he's brought to change the culture in that city. And then you've got players like Jamar Chase, Uzoma, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. They deserve so much credit, Zach Taylor, for what they've been able to do in that city. But ultimately, what is this game going to come down to? Well, let's break down the matchup, shall we? Of course, the Rams not only have Matthew Stafford on offense, you also have Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham, who's found his niche, I would say, in Los Angeles, which he did not have in Cleveland and near the end did not have in New York either. He's been phenomenal over the past month. Cooper Kupp, of course, there's no words to describe how remarkable he's been. And for all the criticism Matthew Stafford was having at the end of the regular season when he was turning the ball over left and right, and the chorus was growing, oh, well, Matthew Stafford, he can't win a big game. You know, he couldn't do it in Detroit. It's going to happen in LA. In 3 playoff games, Matthew Stafford has no turnovers. He's led game-winning drives against the Buccaneers and against the 49ers in the clutch. And he has proven Sean McVay to be a genius once again, because could Jared Goff have done this? I don't know. And what the Rams can do offensively with spreading the ball out between Kupp, Odell Beckham, it makes their offense very dangerous, especially against a Bengals team which, while their defense has been really good in this postseason at stopping teams from getting points, we saw, of course, what the Bengals did to Tennessee and to Kansas City. The Bengals defense does give up a lot of big plays. And Matthew Stafford, I believe this year, led the NFL in generating plays of 20 yards or more. So that certainly works out for Kupp and Beckham to have big games. The Rams will be without Tyler Higbee, who sprained his MCL against the 49ers. He will not play in the Super Bowl. And the Bengals, while that's somewhat of an advantage for the Bengals because it's one weapon that obviously the Rams will not have, and Higbee is very good at catching the ball and, of course, run blocking, they still have to find a way to try and limit Kupp and Beckham from having big games. Cam Akers and Sony Michel have to be held under control because the Rams offense can really put pressure on the Bengals safeties and cornerbacks because Stafford can get the ball downfield quick. He's been very good in this postseason, as I mentioned before. And like I said, the Bengals have to find a way to generate turnovers like they did against the Chiefs and like they did against Tennessee in their road wins in the postseason. Now, that being said, the Rams defensively have a very big edge too. We've talked about it before. I think everyone knows it. The Bengals' O-line is a major weakness for them because it doesn't hold up very well against blitzes and against pressure from the opponent's defensive lines. Now, Joe Burrow did not get sacked in the game against the Chiefs, as opposed to the Tennessee game where he was sacked, I think, 9 times. But the Chiefs were able to generate pressure on him, and Burrow was able to get out using his legs for the most part. That's going to be imperative in this game because, of course, the Rams' defense is led by Aaron Donald on one side, and then you've got Von Miller anchoring the defensive line on the other side. So you factor both of those players in, the Bengals' O-line is going to have a very tough time keeping Joe Burrow upright, and he will not have a lot of time to get the ball out and do a lot of his reads. The Rams will also most likely either double team Jamar Chase like the Chiefs kind of did in their game, which kind of took him out of the game somewhat. And if that's the case, T. Higgins has to step up like he did against the Chiefs. It's not clear if CJ Uzomah will play or not. He injured his knee against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, so it's not clear right now whether he'll go or not, which is very important because that's a big weapon the Bengals would not have otherwise. But the Bengals really need to establish the running game. They didn't do it against the Chiefs. It didn't cost them the game, but I just don't think Joe Burrow can sit back there 40, 50 times and throw the ball knowing that his O-line against Donald and Miller is really going to struggle. So the Bengals have to find a way to keep him upright. And having a bad O-line, we saw it happen last year with the Chiefs against the Buccaneers. The Chiefs O-line, I think, was missing 3 starters. Mahomes had absolutely no time to throw. He was running for his life the whole game. And the Chiefs got blown out. So that O-line holding up is ultimately going to be the difference between the Bengals winning this game and or losing this game. Not taking anything away from Joe Burrow, but it's... Now, one of the other major talking points for this game is, of course, how much pressure is on both teams in order to win. The Rams, in my opinion, you're playing at home at SoFi. You have a definite advantage in terms of talent with Stafford, Kupp, Beckham, Van Jefferson, etc. Obviously, defensively, we know how good Donald and Miller are. I don't think this core can stay together too much longer because of salary cap issues and all that. So there's definitely a lot of pressure on the Rams to win this game because of how much they've invested into winning now. And honestly, Sean McVay, we've talked about how good he's been in the regular season, what he's been able to do in his 3 playoff appearances as a coach for the Rams. Now, he admitted himself 3 years ago in Super Bowl 53, he was overwhelmed and he was outcoached by Bill Belichick. The Rams in that game only scored 3 points in a year where they were, I think, a top 5 offense throughout the year. It is imperative for the Rams to get off to a good start in this game because if they fall behind early, it'll be very interesting if Sean McVay can keep his composure and not start throwing the ball 50, 60 times with Stafford because that's when the Rams have gotten into some trouble in the regular season. So McVay has to stay in control. He can't get overwhelmed by the moment. And the Rams really have to find a way to kind of, I want to say take the pressure off themselves, but they have to play with a sense of composure in a game like this because the Bengals obviously don't have as much pressure on them because, again, no one was expecting the Bengals to be in this game at this point. Now, that being said, though, there is pressure in the sense that how many chances do you get to go to a Super Bowl? Now, for everyone saying, oh, well, Joe Burrow's young, he has plenty of time, it's not a must-win game. You never know what's going to happen. Dan Marino only made it to one Super Bowl, and he was told, oh, you'll be back, don't worry. He never made it back to the Super Bowl. Drew Brees, after he won with the Saints in 2009, he never got back to a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, after he won with Green Bay in 2010, he's never made it back to the Super Bowl. So there's no guarantee, especially when you look at the AFC with Mahomes, Herbert, Josh Allen. It's not a guarantee that Burrow will be back next year, the year after that, or even the year after that. So this is a major opportunity for the Bengals to cash in, and I think they do have to take advantage of that because nothing is given in this league. And Zach Taylor is ironically a Sean McVay disciple from his coaching tree as well. So he also has to be in control, keep his players in the moment. You're not going to win just by throwing the ball against the Rams defense. You have to balance it out, take some pressure off Joe Burrow, some pressure off the O-line, and kind of keep the Rams on their toes a little bit. But like I said, this game is going to come down to whether or not the Bengals O-line can hold up, whether Matthew Stafford can play like he's been doing over the past month without turning the ball over, and which coach keeps their players under control and in the moment. And I picked the Bengals to beat the Raiders. I picked them to beat Tennessee. I did not pick them to beat the Chiefs. And the Bengals, like I said, have been a remarkable story this year. With the exception maybe of the Arizona Cardinals back in 2008, I can't recall a playoff team coming out of nowhere like this to get to the Super Bowl. But I believe that this is the Rams' moment, and the Rams have handled the pressure so well this postseason after blowing a 27-3 lead against the Buccaneers where it looked like the sky was falling. They held their own, kept their composure, and found a way to win that game in a hostile environment. And then 2 weeks ago, they were struggling down 10 in the fourth quarter to the 49ers, and I thought the Rams were going to fold in the pressure. They fought back, scored 13 straight points, and won that game. So the Rams know how to handle the pressure, and I think they'll be able to do it one more time and hoist the Lombardi Trophy Sunday night. So my prediction is the Rams will become world champions. My prediction is Los Angeles 24, Cincinnati 17. And that's my Super Bowl prediction. Please continue to subscribe to my channel, Sportsman Pariente. Again, to the Bengals and the Rams, may the odds be ever in your favor.